Is Kinim Daf Chav Gimel. Not, if you're just joining us now, it's not like we did 23 pages, 22 pages in Kinim. It's up, it's not up, where the... yeah, okay, better. Who has not been there last night? A bunch of you, okay. We had a shir last night in Kinim. First, we made a siyum on Me'ila with Kaddish, with everything. And then we started Masechtas Kinim. We had a minyan, Avada. And we had water as the... All right, Levi, you ready for some Kinim? Whoever missed it, the Mishnah, there's a Manda Omar in Masechtas office that says, Kinim and Pischei Nida. Hein gufei Torah. It says over there those two things. What's Pischei Nida? We had it in Erechin. Remember, 18 days, the cheshbon with the calendar. If you do 2 over, 8, whatever it was, 20 days. If she doesn't see dam for a certain amount of time, that's for sure she's in a new cycle. These are all cheshbonos. Kinim is all cheshbonos. So don't think that it's math. Oh, I learned a little math and finished. No, hein gufei Torah. That's how Rashi explains gufei Torah. In case you missed this one also, Cain. The word Cain in singular means 2. It means a pair of 2 birds.
The usual size of
A
a brood.
brood.
I mean, they have two birds.
Okay. Whoa. You forgot the rule. What's the rule?
Raise your hand.
5 minutes.
No. Is it 5? Okay, good. As long as you remember. I thought you went to Alaska. You forgot the rule. Okay, it's not 5 minutes. We just started.
It's already 10 minutes.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaroi. You sticking up for him or for me? What's going on there? All right. Zok the Mishnah. It happens to be a pretty simple daf. Although they say that the second daf in Kinim, there's only 3 daf. They say the second daf is much harder than the first daf. It's not that difficult. Cain stuma sheparach mimeno goizel avir. Cain, again, is 2 birds. Stuma, we had this yesterday, but a lot of you missed it. There's 2 ways to have a pair of birds. Either you mefarish what they are, and if it's a yuledes, a zav, zava, all those things, one is a chatas, one is a oila. So when she buys them, she says, this one is the chatas, this one is the oila. We're not talking about that. We're talking about stuma. Stuma, she didn't explain what it is. So Memela, that's a Hatzalah call, in case you wonder. Memela, the Kohen, he decides. Now I want to go through one very, very important point that we said last night, but we'll say it again. If a woman has, you hear this Chaim, forget the water, you're going to miss mamish gufi Torah. If a woman has 5 pairs of birds, stumim, she didn't explain what they are. They could go either way. Every bird could be a chatas or an oila until the kohen decides what it is. When a kohen puts 1 bird, shalom aleichem, when a kohen puts 1 bird, if there's 1 pair of birds, right? It could be a chatas or an oila. He takes the chatas, puts it on the mizbeach. He does zrikas hadam. What happens to the other bird? Immediately it becomes an oila. Here's the chiddush. If she brings 10 birds to the kohen, and we don't know what this is. You came on the perfect day. This is the most complicated dapim in Shas, right here. They're not really that complicated. This lady gives the kohen because she decided she gave birth 5 times. She wants to bring 10 birds now, and they're all sasul. In other words, there's nobody knows what the birds are, and that's okay until the kohen is makriv of them. When does the kohen goes ahead and does zrika on 1 bird? Does another bird become an oila? He says, this is a chatas. Boof, it's a chatas. You asking to me it's a chatas? Yes. Does its partner become an oila right away? Like a second ago, you all said that when I make this one a chatas, the partner becomes an oila immediately. But when I have 10 birds, is there a partner to this bird? No. When does it become a partner? No, because they're all sasum. So all 9 I can take from any one of the 9. Another chatas. So there is no partner until I get all 5 chatois on the mizbeach. Then automatically all 5 become oilos. If you don't know that point, then you don't know yesterday's daf. You have to say that. In other words, Nachamol, if I have 10 birds that are not a chatas, not a oila, they're just pigeons, but half of them must be a chatas and half of them must be an oila, the kohen decides and he says, this one is a chatas, this one is a chatas, or this one is a oila, this one is a oila, this one is a oila. When he gets to number 5, then it becomes pashatas that the 5 remaining are all the other type. But only when he gets to the number 5. Now when he does 1, 2, 3, 4, then all of the rest are all sasam, and nothing happens to the rest. Okay? So let's go weiter. Now we know that point. I don't know if it's negated today or not.
Yeah, sure.
Ken stuba sheparach mimeno goizel avir. So the Mishnah, as we said yesterday, the Masechta starts very slowly and easily, and this Mishnah is also going to start slow. One bird flew away. A woman had 2 birds. Birds like to fly, and if you don't keep them down and you don't cage them up, they could fly, they could disappear. So she brings 2 birds. We don't know, chatas, oila, doesn't matter right now. One of them flew away. Bekitzer, one of them is gone. Why? Because one of them flew between a bunch of birds that must die anyways. Or because it just flew away into the world. Or one died. It doesn't really matter what the reason is. The point is, one is left. This one, what is it? Is it chatas or oila? It's neither, because it's sasum. So what do? What do, Rabbi Isai? You bring another bird. What's the problem? You bring another bird. You bring another bird. Because the fact that one bird flew away doesn't do anything to the remaining bird at this point of the Mishnah. If I just have 2 birds and nobody's involved there and it's not a complicated situation, just 2 birds, one flew away, my bird that remains, nothing happened to it. It's a sasum, it's not a chatas or an oila, it could be anything the kind decides later on. And memela, I just bring another bird right now. Oh, Rabbi say this is the line of the whole daf. If you know this line, it's very simple, then you understand the whole daf. Harach lebein hakrevos. If a bird flew away, but flew away into another pair of birds, you have Rachel and Leah. They both come to the Beis Hamikdash, and they're holding an open box. Each one has 2 birds. One bird decided to go visit its friends and flew into the other box. So now you have 3 birds in one box, 1 bird in the other box. What's the halacha? The halacha is that the one bird, here's the case. Not a lot of charts today, they're not necessary, but this is the most important halacha for today. There used to be 2 birds, 2 orange birds. One flew away and went over here to the blue. We don't know which one it is. They're all mixed up and they all look the same. What's the halacha? Halacha is you cannot check this one and you can't check one of the 3. And I'll explain. This is the simplest halacha. You can't check this one. Because what happens when you check this one and you say, look, for instance, this is an oila. What just happened? That the other one becomes a chatas. One of these 3 becomes a chatas, but I don't know which one it is.
What do you care? You're this lady.
Yeah, but this, whoa, I do care.
Why do you care for her? You're the guy.
I'm messing this lady up.
They're not designated yet, so what does it make?
Okay, hold on a second.
Not designated.
The chatas is somewhere over here, right? Now, I can't check it because I'm checking a chatas for this lady. And I'm doing a chatas and an oila for her. Now what if I do the wrong one? What if I shecht this lady's chatas instead of her own chatas? Right? What if I shecht this one as timeout? What if I shecht this one as oila?
This lady's calling is going to take care of her. That lady's
I'll
going
explain.
to
Hold
about
on.
her.
There's the chatas over here. You agree? Now what if I come and I take this chatas and I put it where the oila belongs? I took her chatas. I don't know which one it is.
That's bad because you put them out of the mouth.
Right. That is what we learned yesterday, right?
What if it's not chatas? What if it's an ola?
Yeah, the same thing.
But if they're not designated, what difference?
Hold on a second. Rabbi said one more time. Very simple. If I shech this, if I do zrika on this guy, what do you guys want to call him? Let's call him an oila because it says ayin here. Okay? It doesn't matter if I make this a chatos or I make this a oila. But let's just, to make it simple, I make this a oila. So it's pair, it's ben zug, it's the guy that flew away becomes automatically a chatos. I just designated it. And I cannot take a chatos and put it on top of the red line. That we learned yesterday, whoever missed. Chatos bird goes below the red line. Oila bird goes above the red line. Oila is ayin. Ayin. Lemala has an ayin in it. I brought a chart yesterday. And chatos is a tes, lemato, because lemata has a tes in it. Tes, ayin, ayin. If you want to remember which bird goes above the red line, it's a oila, because ayin, ayin. Oila is a ayin, and the lemala has an ayin in it. Chatos has a tes, and lemata has a tes in it. So now, but they're both birds, they're both chatos birds. Okay, now, if I made this partner a chatos and it got mixed up in these three, I cannot bring all three of these as a carbon. Why? Because perhaps I'm taking this lady's chatos and I'm putting it above the red line. Now, if I only shech two, I could designate whatever I want. The kohen is designating on the spot. He says, I'm putting this one on top and this one on the bottom. Now, so either way you look at it, this becomes puzzle because if I allow this to be shechted, then I'm messing up these birds over here. So I can't shech this one. One of these becomes puzzle. Why? Because let's say I shech two chatos and one oila. I have three birds. And I shech two chatos and one oila. What if by mistake I'm shechting the one lady, the blue lady, let's call her Rachel. What if I'm shechting two of her birds that she brought lechatchila, I shechted them as a chatos. Both of them as a chatos. That's bad. She has to get an oila and a chatos. By me shechting all three birds, I might be messing her up also. Yichab?
So only one woman is going to be 18.
What are you giving back? You don't know what you're giving back. They're all mixed in. No. But two of them started from her and two of them are her. They're stumais. Yeah, but you might be shechting hers. Both.
So only
What are you going to give back? Let's say you give back this one. Yeah, but one of them, no. Give. But they're stumais to one particular person, not to the world.
So they can't just be magnet.
No. One of these has to be a chatas, one of these has to be an oila. For that woman.
It's only when you check the third one or this one here. The other one's automatically designated. At this moment, they're all students.
Yeah, they're all stumas.
So you check
But again, let's just review this point. Well, let's get this clear so we can go weiter. Once we get this clear, the whole Mishnah, everything is easy today. What's this halacha? If I shecht all three, I might be shechting two of a type of one woman. One woman, I might be shechting her two birds, both as a chatos, because I don't know which one flew in. I have two chatos and one oila here, let's say, or two oilas, one chatos. Let's say I shecht all three. What am I doing? How am I shechting all three? I'm going to do one chatos, one oila, and the third one, I'm going to pick. I'm going to say it's a chatos, let's say. So I have two chatos. But what if I shechted by mistake Rachel's two birds, and I made both of them a chatos? She wasn't yaitza. She's bad. So in Mela, what I do is I don't shecht one of her three birds. And I get a chatas and an oila for her. And she gets a chatas and oila, she's potter. So what's the halacha? One puzzle over here, one puzzle over here. Meaning,
The one that was Yaitse?
we're not getting into that. In the whole Masechta, what Mendy just brought out, we're not going to get into it because that's a whole nother headache. And who's yaitse and who has to bring more birds? We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about what could you bring onto the Mizbeach today. Today, what could you bring on the Mizbeach?
Maybe
You
the
could bring
one
this
was
one.
hers and one that was hers.
You can't.
That's what do you mean?
Maybe when in the three, you were not for
Maybe.
Maybe one was hers and one was hers.
That's great, but maybe not. Maybe both are one ladies and they're both
Why
chatos.
can't you bring this one?
Oh yeah, okay, maybe you're right, and she'll have to bring more. The answer to Mendy's question is that this lady brings another pair and makes a t'nai and says, if that one was my oila, that she was makriv is my oila, then this is my chatas, and she was makriv. She makes some sort of t'nai. I'll go upon it, but we're not talking about that because No. She has to pay. She let it loose. She let it fly away. She pays. It's her fault.
She wasn't showing her the birds.
Zok the Mishnah.
Told you to watch.
Yeah.
Keep it closed.
Parach lebein akrevois. We're still in the third line. Parach lebein akrevois. Pasul u'poisel. You hear this? That's all we have to remember for today. The one bird that it left from the partner is pasul. U'poisel echa kenegdoi. And one bird out of the three is also pasul. Shahagoizel lepereach. Pasul u'poisel. The Mishnah just repeats itself now. That when you have a flying bird, it's pasul u'poisel echa kenegdoi. So this is simple. But Rabbi Sai, what if we have 7 cases? That we're going to have. And it doesn't make anything more difficult. It's the same exact case. Ketzad. Mishnah Beis. No Gemara in this Masechta. If you weren't here yesterday, there's no Gemara. We're doing Mishnayos. As Mendy knows already, and I said this yesterday, there's some people that this is their favorite Masechta, including Yedidia Kramer. People that like numbers, love this Masechta. Ketzad. Shtei Noshim. You have 2 women that gave birth. Or there's zavos, but let's call them yoldos. Lezushte kinim ulezushte kinim. So the Mishnah makes it a little bit more complicated. What does 2 kinim mean again? How many birds is 2 kinim? 4 birds. How many birds total?
8.
Lezushte kinim. We're just easing our way into it. Parach mizu lezu. If one bird left one woman and went into the other group. So now she has 3 birds and the other woman has 5 birds. I just did it the simplest way I could think of, 2 and 2, 1 and 3. But it's the same exact thing if you start out with 4 and the other person has 5 and you have 3. Lo hifsid, where am I? Sorry. So the one remaining in the group 1 is apostle. Now, Chazar gives shmak. What if one of the birds goes back? 5 back to the 3. Now we're back to 4 and 4, but we don't know which one came back. It could be any one of the birds, and we have to assume it's a new bird from a new pair. That's what we need to assume. We have to assume the worst. So now, the same thing occurred again.
There's another pair.
From where it flew, from group 2, let's say you have 3 birds here, 1 flew back to group 1, so now 1 from over here becomes pasul, another one becomes pasul. Forget about the one that was pasul before. Another one becomes pasul, because anytime a bird departs, allow flight 107, whatever, it departs this way, a bird becomes pasul. And when it lands in another group, a bird in that group becomes pasul. So how many birds do we have pasul now from both groups? 2 each. If it just happened once, you have 1 and 1. But now it went back. They decided to make some switcheroo. The woman says, hey, you have one of my birds. So she chaps one of the birds from the basket, but she doesn't know which one she chapped. And now you have the same problem back and forth. How many times could this back and forth go? It depends, up to half. Because we said in the beginning of the Masechta yesterday, no matter how many times it happens, you always could check half of your birds. You always have half. So Mela, in this case, that there's only two pairs of birds per woman, Chazar Poitzel Echad B'Chazir Parach V'Chazar Parach V'Chazar, this kept on happening. Birds are flying back and forth, and there's a complete mess over there. Lo Hisid Klum. You can't do more than two psulim per every. In other words, every pair that you have, there's 1 pasul. You always go to the least amount of birds that one group has, and you divide that in half. And that half you're able to bring as a carbon. If you have one woman that brought 10 pairs of birds, and one woman brought 20 pairs of birds, and they all got mixed up, then you could shecht 10 pairs of half of the least. 5 pairs of birds you could shecht.
They fly back and forth, you lose 1 each time.
But there's a maximum of how much you could lose. Because even if you mix them up completely, you take all the birds and put them into one giant box, you could still shecht half of the least amount. When they're equal, then the least amount is the equal, but it's always the least amount. Luzu achas. Okay, here it becomes a shtickle interesting. It looks scary, but it's not. If you look in the Masifta in the back here, this is what the picture looks like. But okay, let's just do this balpeh because it's very simple. If one bird flies from this group to this group, what just happened? One bird becomes puzzle over here, one bird becomes puzzle over here. Now, if one bird flies back to this group, one bird becomes puzzle over here, and one bird becomes puzzle over here. So that's the case that we said until now. Every time a bird flies, one bird becomes puzzle from the origination, and one bird becomes puzzle in the destination. Now, what happened in this case in the Mishnah is just that one bird flew from here and landed here. But it became very, very stuffy. What do you call it? It's claustrophobic. Thank you. The box was only meant for 4 birds. So one bird took off from number 4 and went to number 3. From 2 to 3. And then one bird went from 3 to 4. And one bird went from 4 to 5. You understand that the case is going to be the same exact in every single time. Where it becomes interesting is 7. Why? Because in 7, you hear Rabbi say, this is the only difference. Number 7, you hear Yosef. You're ruining it for everybody. From that point of the table on, nobody can hear what I'm saying.
Can't see either, so it's fine.
You don't have to see. It's so pashut. There's 2 birds. There's 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs. How many birds are there in 4 pairs? Very good. And how many pairs are there in 7? 14. There's 14 birds at that. Now, there's always a bird that's flying from here to here, and from 6 to 7. But from 7, where does he fly? Nowhere. That's why 7 is different than all the other groups of birds. 7 only flies backwards, because what happens in the Mishnah, a bird flew to pair number 2, and then from 2 to 1. A bird flew from 2 to 3, and from 3 to 2. From 3 to 4, 4 to 3. But 7 never flew to 8. There is no 8. 7 only, when it filled up, when 7 had 15 birds, because 6 flew to 7, so a bird flew back to 6. What happens when a bird flies back from 7 to 6? One bird becomes puzzle. Meanwhile, 2 birds became puzzle in 6, because 1 flew from 6 to 7, and then when 7 flew back to 6, another bird became puzzle in 6. They're all worse off than 7, because 7 never had a bird flying away from it. You always get 1 bird puzzle when it flies away, and 7 didn't have that. Yeah? So that's the whole case, Rabbi Yisai. Because of this halacha right over here, that when a bird takes off and goes somewhere else, you have 1 puzzle this way and 1 a psul in each group, and memela. So then what happens? What happens if it happened 3 times? Back, forth. How many birds became puzzle? 3 times, how many birds became puzzle? 6 birds. This guy's good at math. If it happens 3 times, 6 birds are puzzle. So what happens if you have six pairs of birds? They're all puzzle. One per pair. You can't check anything from pair number 6. But you could check, if that happens 3 times, everything is garbage, besides from number 7. Let's see the Mishnah inside.
The minimum, you said, the minimum of all.
It's not 5 minutes yet, is it? What?
5 minutes left.
Okay. Luzu achas, luzu shtayim, luzu shalosh, luzu arba, luzu chamesh. Chamesh what? Birds or pairs of birds? Luzu chamesh, luzu sheish, luzu sheva, 7 pairs of birds. Parach min rishoyna lashniya. This is just reading. We can read this quick. The first flew into the second group. Vilashlishes, and from the second group to the third group. Vilashlishes, vilarevius. Vilarevius. Sorry, you just say vilarevius. In other words, a bird from the third group, from the 3 pairs, flew to the 4 pairs. Vilachamishes, from the 4 pairs to the 5 pairs. Vilashishes, vilashvis. Oh, now v'chazar, and then they flew backwards. It's a return flight. What is it called? A round trip. Thank you. Round trip.
Different birds.
Oh, it could be the same bird, but we have to assume that it's a different bird. We have to assume the worst. Poisal echad ba'alichosoi ve'echad b'chazirosoi. That's the halacha we learned in last Mishnah. Anytime a bird departs, so its partner back there, we don't know who the partner is, but one bird becomes pasul. And when it comes back, it passes again a whole nother bird. Let's do this inside. Look at this chart. If you have the first, I know it's very small, sorry. The first pair is only two birds. If one bird departs the first pair, what happens to its partner? It becomes pasul. So you can't use the first pair automatically. Forget about a return flight. On the one-way flight out, pair number one became pasul. What about pair number two? Pair number two, as this guy lands in pair number two, in the two pair, the second guy, the second group, one pair becomes pasul. But then when one bird returns to pair number one, another bird becomes pasul. Mimela, two pairs become pasul. If two pairs become pasul, you can't do anything with one and two. That's what the Mishnah says. Harishoynu v'ashniya, pair one and pair two, elem klum. Hashlishis yesh lo achas. Now, the third group that has three pairs, only two pairs were pasul from it because only one bird went in and one bird went out, and that makes two pairs bye-bye. How many pairs are you left over from the third group? One pair. Oh, and here's what's interesting. The seventh group that has seven pairs. Where are you going, Gary?
He's giving it $10,000 check.
In middle of the seventh pair, he left. Hashem Yirachim. Anyway, the seventh pair, the Mishnah says, only one pair out of seven pairs is pasul. Why? Rabbi Sai! Because only one flew backwards to 6. So Mela, only one pair is pasul. No bird flew to 8, because there is no 8. So Mela Hashviz Yesh Lo Sheish. That's why the seventh pair, what?
Why did they go to 7?
I don't know. Maybe to get to 3, back and forth, and to show that they're all pasul. Not sure. We could have gone to 5, 4. I mean, we could have understood this with less pairs. I'm not exactly sure why we went to Shvius.
Has to go to a number bigger than 8 in order to...
No.
Has to go to 8.
No. We're just trying to point out the only reason why there's larger groups, not because that's where you have to fly to. We said the Mishnah right before said that there was 2 groups each, and one flew into the other group. It works fine if the groups are the same size. We're just trying to point out that if you have a larger group, sometimes you're left over with more birds than the group before it. You could wipe out a group before. If you start out with 2 birds, it gets wiped out on the first flight. If you have 2 pairs, it gets wiped out when there's a return flight. And when you have 3 pairs, it only gets wiped out when there's a return flight plus a one-way afterwards. And the 7th flight, the 7th pair, is the best off. That's what the Mishnah wants to say. Parach v'chazar poisel echol b'chazar v'echol b'chazirosoi. Now, what if this happened all over again? There's another flight. So poisel echol b'chazar v'echol b'chazirosoi. If it flew a return flight, 2 return flights, what happens? Hashlish is v'arvizim b'klum. The revis that has 4 pairs. If you have 2 return flights, how many birds are pasul? 4. How many pairs are pasul? 4. So if you have 4 pairs, you have 0 left. That's why Ashlish is Baravias Elam Klum. So if you have 4 pairs gone and you have 5 pairs, how many do you have left? Hachamish is Yeshlo Achas. Hashish is Yeshlo Shtayim. Hashvis Yeshlo Chomesh. Again, the 7 pair only loses 1 every time. So in Mela, it has 5. What happens if there's a 3rd round trip flight? The same exact thing happens again. You had this last night and you didn't give it out for the Siyum. Hashem Yirachim.
Where to buy it?
Oh. Now, if there's 3 return flights, 3, what do you call them again?
Round trips?
Round trips. If there's 3 round trips, how many pairs go bye-bye?
6.
6 pairs go by on 3 round trips. So Mela, the 6 pair case has 0, but the 7th pair case has how many?
1.
Bashvius eshlo arba. Because the Shvius loses 1 per every round trip, not 2. And those 3 round trips, it only lost 3 birds, and Memela it has 4. Some say, how many birds left the 7th pair? Here's a very interesting machlokes. How many birds left the 7th pair? 3. So how many did it have left?
4.
It started out with 14 birds. It has 11 birds left. It started out with 14. 3 birds departed. How many does it have left? 11. How many pairs can you make out of 11? 5 pairs. So this Mandomer says, let it have 5 pairs. So I have to say a very important yesod here. When Rabbi said, listen to this yesod. This pair, let's go to the first pair. This pair, when there was a departing flight, what happened? Everything in this pair went bye-bye. In other words, the remaining bird became puzzle. What happened to group number 2 when a bird left group number 1 and went to group number 2? It passes 1 in this group. Let me ask you a question. Why? There's no problem because there are no birds left in group number 1. So who cares about? Nothing can happen anymore. Let's check everything. The answer is that there's a gzeira. Gzeira. Even if this group doesn't exist anymore, there's a gzeira. Memela. The Tanakhama holds when I have 7 birds and they keep on going back and what? What?
There's no group. That's finished.
There's nothing left anymore. The whole problem of using
Only 1.
Maybe it belongs to the other pay. There's no pay anymore.
the whole problem of why can't I shech this is because maybe it's part of this pair, but this pair doesn't exist anymore. So Memela, these guys nobody could see. You don't have to see. It's time for show. So this is Gzeira. Yeah?
What's
Now,
the zero?
the Gzeira that you might mix it up, you might not do it the right way next time, whatever the Gzeira is. So Yesh Oimrim say, look, look what happened. Yesh Oimrim say, there's no difference between group 1 and group 6. Group 6 got wiped out completely. So why do I have to make any problems for group 7? As many birds as left group 7, erase those, and Memela, I start out with 14 birds, I'm left with 11, make 5 pairs. But the other one says no, there's a gzeira. So Memela, I'm only left with 4 pairs. I have to be choishes because it flew into this group. Memela is 4 pairs, not 5 pairs.
On the last pair.
All right, now we have 8 minutes left.
They're not closer.
And these are really, really, no, one is geyser, one is not geyser, and that's machlokes. V'imparach min ha-mesois likulon, and if a bird that was meant to die, why is a bird meant to die? Because its owner died, because whatever reason, we have different reasons why a bird dies, and then it flew into one of these groups, or any group of birds, hare kula mesois. We don't know which bird it is, and we can't shecht it because it's meant to die. So all the birds that it flew into, they all are condemned to death.
We had that in the first mission.
We did. But now this has more to do maybe with these groups or something. It messes up these groups. Fine. Now we have very easy Mishnayos. Mishnah Daled. Kain stuma v'kain mufureshes. If you have a pair of birds that we don't know if it's a chatas or oila, it wasn't decided yet. V'kain mufureshes, but there was a pair of birds that was decided that this one is a chatas, this one is a oila. What happens when one of those birds flies into another group and you don't know which one it is? That whole group becomes puzzle, as the first mission in the Masechta or whatever it was, yesterday's daf. Why is it puzzle? Because you might take a bird that belongs above the red line and put it below the red line. Or you might take a bird that belongs above, below, above, whatever. Okay? So now you had a kemufureshes. Parach minastuma lemufureshes. If a bird from the undesignated pair flew, that doesn't do anything to us. We don't care. That we had a minute ago, the halacha, now the first mission we learned today. If a bird flies away, so you just replace it with another bird. Chazar, it flew away, and then it came back. Rishain. Now, a bird from the mufureshes. You have either a chatos or an oila, because it was already designated as a chatos or an oila, and one of those birds took flight and landed in your basket of undesignated birds. Hari kulam yamusu. Now they must die, like we explained, because perhaps one of them is that designated bird that belongs above or below the line, and we don't know where it belongs. We don't even know which one flew away. We don't know if the chatos, the designated chatos, flew into your basket, or the designated oila flew into your basket. Memela yamusu. Now, this is a big chiddush, because this is what we call a sfek sveika. Because maybe what flew into your basket is a chatos, and you shechted it below the red line. So what's the problem?
Maybe it's designated, maybe it's not designated.
Maybe you took maybe you took a bird from your birds, the original birds that are undesignated, and maybe you could put it below the red line. And even if you took a bird from the other guy, maybe the other lady, a chatas flew into your basket, and you're putting it below the red line. Yeah? What happened? You have a bird that flew in from another lady's basket that was a designated bird, and it flew into your basket. You took a bird, and you want to shecht it below the red line. Or you want to shecht it above the red line. Let's call it above the red line, to make it interesting. You're saying it's an oila. Well, two options. Maybe you took your own bird that was undesignated, and you could put it anywhere you want, above or below the red line, and maybe it's 100% mutter. Or maybe the bird that flew into your basket is the lady's, your friend, but it's an oila. It's in fact an oila, and you're allowed to put it above the red line. So that's a svek sveika. And afapikein, the Mishnah says, Harei kulon yimusu. With the svek sveika, they all must die. Mishnah hey. Chatos mikan v'oila mikan. You have on the right side a chatos, designated chatos 100%. You have on the left side a oila 100% oila. Ustuma be'emtza, and you have a pair of birds that are undesignated smack in the middle. If a bird from the sosum goes to the chatos, what happens? Nothing. Make them both chatos. What's the problem? They're undesignated anyways. Undesignated, designated now. It's not a problem. One bird from the middle went to the right, one bird from the middle went to the left. Nothing happened. You don't have to say, the kohen doesn't have to say, but the Mishnah just says it like nicely. The two birds on the right should be oila, two birds on the left are chatos, everything is great. Where's the problem? Chazer la'emtza, one bird from the right came back to the middle, and one bird from the left came back to the middle. Now we don't know which bird came back. We don't know. It could be the original chatos, it could be the original oila, it could be the undesignated one. If the two undesignated came back to the middle, what happens? Then it's perfect. But we don't know that they're undesignated. Perhaps they're both designated. And now which one is the chatos, which one is the oila? I can't put the chatos above the red line because it might be a chatos. So I can't do anything. So memela, right? Do you need a picture for this?
No.
You have a chatos and an oila on both sides, and they both come to this middle, and now they're mixed up. We don't know which one is the chatos, which one is the oila. I can't be makir of either one of them. Fine.
Designated.
Eilu yikrivu chatois, ve'eilu yikrivu oilois. The ones on the sides can still be a chatos and oila. Chazar mina emtzelatz dodim. But if the center ones that must die go back to the sides, then again you have a mix-up, a tremendous mix-up, and maybe the chatos went to the oila and the oila went to the chatos. Kulo yimusu. Says the Mishnah, very simple halacha. We take this for granted. What kind of birds could you bring to the Beis Hamikdash? Turtle doves or pigeons. So if a woman has to bring a chatos and a oila, they must be the same species. They must be either two pigeons or two turtle doves, but you can't mix one and one. What? Why? It's a pasuk. We learn from psukim. And you can't bring the young pigeons, the adult turtle doves. Now, this Tana holds everything goes by the chatos. I don't care which one I brought first. So Memela, if the first one, okay, so the Isha Shevila Chatasa Torva Ilasa Ben Yoina, she brought one turtle dove and one Ben Yoina. But the turtle dove was for the Chatos and the pigeon was for the Oila. Now she has to bring one more Oila, a turtle dove. Why? Because everything goes by the Chatos. And since the Chatos was a turtle dove, the Oila is also a turtle dove. And if she reversed it, she brought the turtle dove for the Oila. Again, since the Chatos is what is Koveya here, and the Chatos was a pigeon, she has to bring another pigeon. Ben Azai is Mechulak. Ben Azai by the way, it's not even 8 o'clock yet. It goes by whatever's first. Whatever the coin was makriv first. So, therefore, if the coin was makriv the oila first, so whatever the oila was, if it's a turtle dove, then she has to bring another turtle dove and she has to throw out the pigeon. But if she was makriv the chatas first, whatever is makriv first, says Ben Azai. Also, we're learning from Psukim.
There's no order between Ola and Chatas? You do either one first?
I guess not. And even if there is, but it's not ma'akiv, and memelo, ha'isha she'evil chatas of b'meisa, a woman who brought her chatas, and now she owes an oila, but before she was able to bring her oila, she unfortunately died. Yaviu yoshim oilasa. Here's two chidushim. First of all, an orphan can bring an oila for a parent. Second of all, he's mechuyev to bring it. We take it right out of his Yerusha.
Korbanos, we didn't have that, right? Chatas shel Meisa.
Oh, chatas not. Oila. Chidush by oila. Second later. Now, oilasa v'meisa, if she brought an oila and she died but she didn't bring a chatas, lo yaviu yorshim chatasa. Why can't the yorshim bring a pigeon bird for a mother who died as a chatas? Why not? Because the most important reason is not what Mendy said. Because you can't bring it. Why not? Because you can't give a kapara to somebody that died. Once a person dies, finished. You got to do tshuva while you're alive. The other reason, which Mendy said, and might apply here and might not, is the chatas shemesu ba'aleh. Once the owner dies, then you have to take the chatas and kill it. But that might be only by a behema, not by a bird. We don't know. But definitely, one reason we have here is that you cannot give a kapara to somebody that already died. Have a wonderful day. Tomorrow's even more interesting. Mendy, just 1 second. What? That only that she